let's start seated. And take a comfortable seat, Sukhasana. Sukhasana is easy pose. Sukha, meaning good, spacious, at ease. So Sukhasana is basically with the legs out in front of you, sitting nice and tall. And just let the shoulders release, let the neck soften, let the facial expression relax any tension out from your day. And just take a Jan Mudra here. So thumb and index finger together, other three fingers are together and outstretched. Rest the backs of the hands down and soften through the wrists and the elbows here. So the elbows just relax in nicely to the rib cage. And last week we focused mainly on our side body, so really still feeling the sides of your container, front, back and sides. And we want to feel this lengthening all the way from the hip right up to the earlobes. And as we come to our mat, just take in how you feel. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, of course, an all-round feeling. Asking yourself the questions, how do I feel today? And always listening to your own answer. And as we come to the end of our month of September, the beginner's month, really, approaching our practice from an experienced and expert body, but from the eyes and through the mind of a beginner's approach, as if we were going back to basics, back to school. And again, just thinking of that for the last practice of that theme today and what you've learned throughout the month as well of September. And our practice today will be from Dukha to Sukha. So from the discomfort to the comfort. And that's why we've chosen Sukhasana, our nice easy pose today. Our quote from Rumi, life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Every day we have the chance to make subtle changes. The way we speak to someone or the way we pause before we respond. The way we decide to give or serve instead of taking. Or the decision to let something go instead of latching on more. Each of these small sea changes adds up to who we are and a signpost that your spiritual practice is working. And then one day when we think nothing is happening, we catch ourselves giving, smiling, or letting go. We remember that the journey is not so much about the big choices, but the small, unseen actions, the micro changes that we make day to day. And it's all important to make micro changes through your practice when we are holding a posture for a number of minutes, making those micro changes to make a posture from discomfort to comfort, from dukkha to sukha. Slow and steady breaths, breathing from crown to root and root to crown, flowing the breath freely and easily without effort, up and down and around the body. Nice and slowly release your mudra Open and extend the hands and the palms, really stretching into the fingers, stretching into the palms, and then curl the fingers in and place the thumb over the top of the knuckles, making that nice fist, and then stretching out, and then curling in. And even just those hand gestures of stretching and curling in might feel comfortable or uncomfortable. Stretching out and pulling in. Nice. And then rotate through the wrists. And again, really guiding through the wrist motion and the mobility of the wrist joint. And then circling the other way. And then give the wrists a little shake. So make the wrists and the hands heavy and floppy. And then you can flex into the wrists and then drop them down and stretch the top part of the wrist. Flex. Good. And let's come into our first posture, which is rabbit. So your choice here, you can, of course, use a block underneath the head and support that head by giving it a little bit of height. I'm going to use a block under my head. So we're kneeling at the back of our mat. Hands come back behind us here, and we're going to bring the head and right down onto the block or the mat. The crown comes. So we're rounding through the spine. We're drawing the belly up in towards the lower back, lifting up the sit bones up above the knees. Nice, good. So just find that posture there for yourself. We're here for a couple of minutes. If you feel that dizziness comes into the head or in any way, you can always just drop gently back to child's pose. Holding and breathing. Again, finding that Dukha to Sukha. Discomfort to comfort. Pulling up the navel, rounding through the entire spine in that flexion. And gently just rolling back onto the forehead, releasing the fingertips towards the back of the mat and come into a child's pose. Soften the chest and the shoulders over the knees and thighs, relaxing into the mat here. Notice how it feels to come off of the crown of the head. And before you roll up to kneeling, just slide the hands forward and come up into a tabletop position. So keeping the head in line with the heart, neck in line with the spine here, and just release through the spine into your cat and cows. Then gently come back into Nila. Sitting tall, bring the heels right underneath the buttocks. Sit tall and just soften through the head, the face, the neck here. Feel the spine long and lengthening. And let's go into our second posture, which is supported shoulder stand. You can use a bolster or a block for supported shoulder stand, but go all the way to the front of your mat. So when we roll back, we're going to be able to place that block either on its lowest level, or you can use your bolster. That's always really nice and comfortable, of course, underneath the sacrum. But before we go into it, we're just going to draw those knees in towards the chest. Nice deep exhale, lengthening the tailbone, making sure that the neck is also long. And we'll hold our supported shoulder stand for 3 minutes. So the block comes underneath the sacrum, either on the lowest level or the medium level. The highest level would be very, very high. Making sure that you're not going to fall off. So that's it. And then taking the legs one at a time, straight up to the sky. Arms can rest down by the sides of your body, or they might go back into cactus, spreading the shoulder blades apart from one another. The neck stays long, toes are soft and relaxed. If you can, both legs go up. There can be a soft bend into the knees, but give in to the entire weight of the legs coming down through the pelvis here. Finding the comfort in the posture, finding stillness, always working to your own edge. And taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out as you lower the legs down to the mat, placing the soles of the feet back on the mat, bringing the hands back by the body. Take a moment just to pause there in supported bridge. And then gently lift the hips, take your block or your bolster away and roll down all the way through the spine. Release the pelvis nice and flat. Take the feet wide, knees drop in together, constructive rest. So it's important to allow the body to respond. when you come out of that slight inversion there. Allowing the head to come back up in line with the heart. Our next posture is our snail or plow. So whether that be with bent knees or with straight legs, you might like to use your bolster once more. I'm going to. So placing the bolster underneath, I wouldn't say do it with a block, that's going to be very uncomfortable. So the bolster comes really underneath the body, and you're going to lift those knees up and keep them nice and bent. And if you like, again, making sure that the neck stays long and looking up towards the sky, and you can drop the knees down towards the shoulders, or you extend the feet and maybe the toes come down towards the mat. So the legs are hanging a little bit closer towards the body here. Bolster helps to lift those hips up. And then let those legs become heavy. Any kind of variation of snail or plow in this will do for you. Again, it's finding the comfort away from the discomfort. So always choosing to modify postures. Coming out of the posture whenever you need to. Of course, you do not have to stay there for the full 3 minutes. We have got about 1.5 minutes left. And for the last few breaths, you might like to bring the hands up towards the toes, gently adding a little bit of extra weight there. Good. And take the breath in, the breath out, bringing the body back, placing the soles of the feet down, maybe on the tiptoes so that you can lift the hips a little higher to slide that bolster out from underneath you. Good. And gently roll it down. Take the feet wide, drop the knees in, and exhale through the lower back. Heel toe the feet into parallel, draw the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze, exhale, lengthening the tailbone, lengthening the spine, flat along the mat. And then just release into the hips there, because you might have felt that into the hip flexors because it's quite deep contraction there. You might have felt it into the back of the hamstrings, into the spine. So just release out. And let's come into our fourth posture of supported fish. So again, choosing the options of one or two, well, two blocks or your bolster. So I'm going to go blocks. One block is on the highest level, that supports the head, and the other block can either be horizontal or vertical along down the center of the spine. You're going to bring yourself back, shoulder blades resting, and using the bolster down the center of your spine and a block to support the head. Yes, perfect. That's it. And again, your option here is to place the soles of the feet into butterfly pose, allowing the knees out to the sides. So it's either a block down the center of the spine or a bolster. Bolsters are far more forgiving. We're here for a little longer, actually. All of the other postures were 3 minutes. So we're here for a little bit longer. Closing the eyes, if you wish, softening through the facial expression, softening through the throat, opening across the collarbones and the chest, feeling the sides of the body, the rib cage expanding with each breath. Remind yourself of that Rumi quote, life in balance is between holding on and letting go. Taking a deep breath in and a slow, long, deep breath out. Prepare to move. If you took the butterfly option with the legs, take the hands to the thighs and lift those legs together. Place the soles of the feet down and then bring the palms by the hips. Press into the elbows to lift the head, looking along the body. You're still on the blocks or the bolster there. And then pressing up and rolling over onto a hip so that you can take those props away and then roll down all the way into Shavasana. Take a moment to feel that there is nothing underneath your spine here. Notice how it feels to come out of the posture. Feeling the sides, the front, and the back of the body. And maybe you have gleaned that we are working through the Shivananda 12 in yin postures for this practice. So we're starting to move down in towards the upper and the middle back and the heart space. So gently draw those knees in once more. Roll and massage out through the spine. Open out through the hips if that feels good. And then take your time. We've been on the back for a while, so roll over to one side, just pause there. And then gently press yourself up to seated. Good. So our next posture is our seated forward fold or caterpillar. So again, you can use blocks or bolster to support you in this one, or you might not need any props at all. So you can choose to have the bolster supporting the head. That's always very, very nice. Or you can use the blocks, of course. Or you might like to have the bolster underneath the legs. And you can get into that deeper fold from there. So making sure that you're creating space between the belly and the thighs, exhaling and softening. We're here for, again, a little bit longer than 3 minutes. So making sure that you're going to be comfortable. Sukha in the time that we're holding. And a caterpillar or a seated forward fold is really a posture to really let go. Let go of the head. Let go of the neck. Give in to gravity. Really allowing the rest of the body to soften as much as possible. Letting go of tension. Letting go of effort. Letting go. We're here for just a few more breaths. Give in completely to the fold. Take a breath in and a slow, deep breath out before moving. Always that mental and physical preparation, bringing the hands back gently and slowly, rolling up through the spine. Think about each and every vertebra, uncurling itself, bringing you into an upright position with the shoulders directly above the hips, and then the head lifts. Sit nice and tall, relax into the shoulders, and let's take our blocks and bolster away once more. Good. So let's spin the legs around. Let's come back out into our tabletop for a moment. Just gently release out from that fold. Be careful as you go through your cat and cow. We're now going to come into some further back extension work in our prone postures. So our first posture is Sphinx, and I'll give you the option here as well to use a bolster. So if you like, you can bring the bolster underneath the chest. As you come down into prone, the elbows come over the other side of the bolster, and you simply drop the hips. Maybe widening the feet out and opening up through the chest. Or, of course, you don't have to use the bolster at all. And you might just come into your Sphinx pose from there. So this one is really giving in to the lower back, the hips, and the pelvis and the buttocks, being the heaviest part of the posture. Letting the legs soften and relax, but really allowing yourself openness through the upper back and the chest. Again, finding that Dukha to Sukha, discomfort to comfort, as you hold for 3 minutes. And there's certain postures within Yin that do require a bit of effort, Sphinx being one of them. So it's that pushing away from the earth through the arms. Doing great with these nice holds. And just a breath in lifting, lifting, lifting the heart. And that exhale out, widening the elbows, taking the bolster away if you chose that option, coming all the way down into prone, relaxing everything here. Relax the glutes, soften across the lower back, the belly releases, and you might like to just sway the hips from left to right. Our second back extension in Shivananda 12 would technically be a locust, but we're not going to do that one. We're going to do a 1-minute seal hold. So hands come out to the far corners of your mat, pushing through the palms, coming up with straight arms. You might widen the feet here again, but the arms you don't have to come up too high, but the shoulders are definitely pressing away or drawing away from the ears, and all 10 toes are touching the mat. The heels don't roll in towards one another, so you're not getting that inward rotation. You're not getting the external rotation of the thighs. Keep pressing away from the mat, lifting, lifting, lifting through the chest, dropping through the pelvis. Just here for 1 minute. And slowly lower. Bring the cheeks to the mat, hands come back by the hips, big toes touch. Exhale and relax. Gently sway the hips left to right. And this is our bow pose. So the head stays down on the forehead. You take both hands back to the feet, lengthening the hip flexors out, keeping the knees nice and low, pulling the heels in towards the buttocks. Trying to lengthen the thighs away, pulling those hip flexors down. Making sure those heels come into the buttocks and the knees are parallel with the hips, or in line with the hips, should I say. And that was just a 1 minute hold there. So let go of the feet, let them float down. And if you like, you can windscreen wiper the shins, swaying the feet left to right. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, gently press yourself back up into that tabletop. And just move the hips around, circle, 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 back through child's pose, forward towards the wrists. Circling one way and the other, and then introduce your cat and cow from there. Oh, goodness me, my spine has just released itself. That feels a whole lot better after doing those back extensions. Let's take a nice soft child's pose here. Take the knees wide, bring the head to the hands, and drop the hips back towards the heels. Exhaling, releasing, letting go. So just a few more postures now. These are the ones that are left and right. So we're going to roll up through the spine. Swing our legs around in front of us and come into our seated twist. So taking our right leg over our left, sit nice and tall. Again, these aren't active legs here. You can take the twist very, very gently. So I would say probably hug the leg rather than put the elbow over. So really feeling the length of the spine as you sit tall on both sit bones, really creating this length from the lower back. The sides of the body start to rotate towards the edges of your mat, opening the chest out, relaxing across the collarbones and the shoulders. Bringing yourself back through the center, extending the legs out and then changing to the other side. And again, getting that belly free of the thigh and simply hugging the knee, keeping tall through the lower back rather than dropping through the lower spine here. Lift and open chest out. The extended leg is relaxed. Feet are not active or flexing or pointing. And this is actually the first posture where we've had to do both sides. So just observing differences, imbalances from right to left. Most of the postures are very symmetrical. And gently take a breath in and out. Bring yourself back to center. Extend the legs and swing those around behind you. Once more, hands come out. We're going to tuck the toes. We're going to come into a dangle from here. So bringing the feet underneath you. Take your time to get into this stand. This is one of very few postures in Yin that we actually do stand up. So maybe bend into the ankles, move the feet, move the knees before we actually go into that forward fold. And you can, of course, use blocks or a bolster to support the head, letting yourself come into that ragdoll. Maybe taking hold of the elbows, letting the crown of the head release towards the mat, soften through the face and the neck. Really aiming to keep most of the weight into the front part of the foot. The heels are very light, not taking much weight into the back of the legs, as if you were going to topple forward. Really let go. Just here for 2 minutes. And gently release the hands down. Lift the torso into a half lift from here. You can have bent knees, nice flat back. And then release the knees down and come back to the mat to kneel. Bring the knees and the feet together. Bring the heels right underneath the buttocks. Sit tall and just check in with yourself here. We've moved from the crown of the head, from that very first posture of rabbit, all the way down through the neck of the shoulder stands, the plow, into the upper back of fish, forward folds into the central back, twists down into the lower back, coming down into the sacrum for our dangle. And our last posture would be similar to a triangle pose, but we're going to do this on our backs. And it's our hand to big toe number 2. So you can use a strap if you like. I actually am going to use a strap. So roll down, draw the knees in towards the chest, roll out through the spine. Have that strap handy. Open out the knees, release into the inner thighs and the hips here. And the reclined leg stretch number 2 is out to the side. So placing the strap over the foot, extending the leg up towards the sky first of all, and then gently letting it go out to the side. You can extend the underneath leg and holding onto that strap, resting down on the elbow. And you can always rest that leg on a block or a bolster if you like. So again, it's really important to know what really works for your body. And as we're going to hold this one for 3 minutes, this simulates our triangle, or as close to it. Making sure that the chest is parallel to the mat. The left hip is gently pulling itself down. Try and soften out through the gluteal muscles here. Relax in through the inner thighs. And if you like, you can turn the head to look along your left arm towards your left fingers. Allowing that right leg to become heavier and heavier. Bringing the head back into center as you breathe in. Nice deep exhale there. Breathing in, lifting the leg straight back up into the center. And just holding onto that strap there and slowly lowering that leg down. Take a moment just to rest, let go of the strap, allow the body to settle in Shavasana. And then bringing the knees in, hopefully bringing that strap back closer to you so that you can change the legs. And draw those knees in, roll and massage out if you need to, extending the left leg up towards the sky. And extending the right leg along the mat if you like, or it can stay bent, and then letting the left drop down. Nice and gently. Opening out the chest, making sure the shoulder blades are spread out. You're pulling down the right hip this time, nice and gently. And everything's soft. This isn't an active posture. There can be this posture can be active in a stretch, but we're using it as a yin pose, so everything's relaxed, softening through them, larger muscle groups to go deeper into the connective tissue, the ligaments and the joints. And maybe that leg becomes supported by a block or a bolster if you've got it handy. Relaxing into glutes. Breathing in, bringing the head back into the center. Breathe out, preparing to move. Breathe in, lift the leg back all the way into the center. And then exhale, just sliding the hand down the strap, lowering that leg with control. Let the foot, let the leg relax, soften out completely through the body, noticing now the differences between right and left. And then drawing the knees in, bringing that strap with you and taking it away from the foot. And the last posture before we come into Shavasana is if you lengthen out your strap just a little bit, you can put it over both feet, hopefully, and then extend both legs up towards the sky. And then gently, gently pull the toes towards you and keep the tailbone down. So this is coming into like a down dog position. So you're using the backs of the legs to soften and relax, pulling those toes way back over the head, trying to lengthen the tailbone down, really flattening out the spine here. The head is back, the back of the skull is down. If you need to soften into the back of the knees, please do so, but relax the sphincter and the glutes here, particularly. Let go of all effort. Just feel the deep stretch. And bend at the knees, release the strap. Take the knees nice and wide of the belly, bringing the thighs down by the rib cage, and just roll and massage out with that space between the knees. Good. Circling one way and the other, and let's come into our relaxation from here. So making yourself warm, making yourself comfortable. Sukha, that ease, comfort, making sure that your hands and feet aren't touching anything by the sides of you, using eye pillows, bolsters underneath the knees if you like, and just soften back into relaxation here, keeping present, keeping focused. So finding comfort and ease through all of our postures today. The Dukha, the uncomfortable, the struggle, the suffering, and the Sukha, the good space, the being at ease and being at peace. And our quote from Rumi, life is a balance of holding on and letting go. I'll leave you for a few moments of your own peace, your own comfort, and let you know when it's time to come back around. Begin to take a few deeper breaths as you bring your awareness back into your surroundings, into your comfortable space. Bringing movement back into the hands and the feet. Choosing to stretch or draw the knees in. And doing whatever the body requires you to do. Taking time to stretch, rolling out and rolling to one side as you bring yourself back up to that Sukhasana, easy pose. Hands coming into Anjali Mudra, and just feel how extra tall you now are after your spinal yin. Starting all the way from the crown of the head right down to the tailbone and all parts in between. And remind yourself of our theme for practice today, the comfort and ease from Dukha to Sukha, from the discomfort to the comfort. Always remind yourself of that when you're off of your mat in your daily life. And thanking yourself, your body, and your breath for practice. And I thank you. Namaste.